Hey, what's up? I'm Randy Blythe, and you're watching Artisan News.
Great. So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the first time you wanted to start taking photographs for a hobby.
Me being a photographer was entirely by accident. I had this plan because I got sick of internet technology and cell phones, and I still am to a degree. They drive me nuts, even though I have 2 cell phones. And I had this plan. I was going to unplug from the internet, right? And I was going to write a book about it. I was going to unplug completely for a year. No cell phone, no internet. So I tell my friend Jamie Josta this plan. And we're on this airplane, and I go through the whole spiel, and I explain it to him, and I'm like, I'm going to write this book and explain the book. And at the end, he looks at me, he goes, okay, here's how we're going to do the movie. And I'm like, fuck, there goes the book, right? So he's like, you need to get a camera, start shooting B-reel stuff. So I asked some friends of mine, my friend Don Argut, who made the documentary As the Palaces Burn. I'm like, what's a good, relatively reasonably priced camera I can get to shoot high-def footage with, for this silly video idea? And he said, it's a Canon EOS 60D. It's like a prosumer model, not full frame, but it'll shoot good video. So I started shooting some stuff for this documentary, and then I started shooting some skateboarding videos, all video. And then one day I was in my kitchen, and I look at my coffee pot, and I see it's got a dome top, and I see I'm looking weird reflection in it. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Let me try and use this camera for what it's actually made for. And I put it on automatic on the dummy setting, and I pointed it there, and I went, and I looked at it, and I was like, that is freaking cool looking, and that was about 4 years ago, I guess. And since then, it's been, an obsession of mine. It's something I do. I carry a camera with me everywhere, So I never wanted to become a photographer. I never was like, I'm going to be a photographer. It just kind of happened by accident. Kind of like being in my band. It just sort of happened.
Things that really drew me to your artwork, aside from being a fan, is that you sort of shirk the notion of traditional beauty. You focus on the gritty, the natural, the weathered, especially on the people. Where did you sort of develop this concept of beauty, and what sort of inspires you to take these photos?
I mean, dude, yes, we're in New York City, and yes, there's Fashion Week here and all that stuff, and yes, we're in an art gallery, but the art gallery is attached to a tattoo shop, you know what I mean? And if you look at myself or my band, we're not exactly supermodels, And I feel when I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, oh, she's beautiful, but the plastic Barbie doll stuff, it's not my style. I like interesting people. With females, I find ones that look like perfect, cute little bunnies. That's so boring. You know what I mean? And people in general, I think in today's society, have this obsession with trying to remain young forever and trying to, look beautiful forever and all that stuff. And who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? That's not life, that's not reality. I like people, you know, their faces tell a story, you know? And like, I'm not gonna get plastic surgery. I'm not gonna, you know, I can't even stop this huge zit from erupting on my forehead right here. Look at that, that's a blemish. That's real. I've been battling it for 2 weeks. It won't go away. I'm not gonna cry over it. I'm not gonna cover it for the fucking camera. I'm gonna say, look at this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So when I see someone with an interesting face, I'm like, God, that's cool, man. Let me see it, you know? Because I don't live in fantasy world. I live in the real world. And people that live in the real world are beautiful to me, you know?
Who knows? You might look good with some double Ds.
Yeah, that's it. Genesis P. Orridge from the band Psychic TV. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're kind of a weird cult band, odd thing. He got breast implants. It's very strange. His wife, he's married. Her husband has boobs. It's, you know, maybe one day. I don't think my wife really wants that out of me, though. But if I get them, I'm going to get big knockers so I can play with them all the time. Giant, huge, hit myself in the face with a motorboat myself. That'd be a great video. That's the whole video for the next Lamb of God album. It's just one long, continuous, in double bass, like Chris's double bass. Like, it's just me motorboating myself with my triple Ds. That's art. Yeah.
Your book, you just released the photo for your book a little while back.
The cover, yeah.
It looked really interesting. I know there's some sort of a story behind it. Can you tell me a little bit about what you had to do in order to get that shot and how you knew that was the one?
Well, you mean there's 2 photos that were combined into one. Are you speaking of the photo of the prison or the self-portrait?
Well, since there was both those, I was hoping you would talk about.
Oh, okay. All right.
The influence of the 2.
Well, in order to get the shot of the prison, I had to go to prison in the Czech Republic for a little bit, and that wasn't a lot of fun. And you know, and then when I came back, I had to go to trial. So you know, I wanted to go back, and I didn't know if I was going to go away for a long while, but I figured if not, there might be some powerful shots to come out of walking around the outside of that prison, try and, you know, kind of document this weird part of my life. And so I went and shot. I walked the perimeter of the prison with my wife and with my buddy Don Argett. I think that made it into the movie. So I was walking around and I was shooting it. And I got some really good shots, one of which is hanging on the wall here in the gallery. And it sold more than any other shot. It's a limited edition of 10, so we're up to 6 right now in 2 days. But, you know, I wanted that to be the cover of my book, was just the shot of that prison, because I thought it's stark, and the prison is out of focus. You know, I'm looking from the outside in, but what's in focus is the barbed wire, you know? So it's not a pleasant looking photo, but you know something is bad in there, but you kind of get the feeling of being outside of it, because I didn't write the book in prison, you know, and the experience, it's still within me, but I'm also outside of it. I'm on the other side of it now. So it's like reflecting, and it's kind of a dark, out of focus, some of it gritty picture, just kind of like the experience. So I thought that would make a really powerful book cover. And maybe one day that will be the cover. But I'm also a realist. I know that a lot of people are going to know about this book because I'm in my band, you know, and that was a big news story, you know. And most books written by dudes in bands, 99% of them have a picture of the dude in the band on the cover. And that is not what I wanted. Like, I never, ever, ever wanted to be on the cover of the book. Because, I mean, there's a bazillion and one photos of me out there already, you know? So it's like, really? I gotta put another one? And also, as a photographer, I wanted to be like, my art is the cover of my book, you know? And me being on the cover kind of ruins it for me, honestly. It's a cool cover, but it was a compromise I made with the publishers because they're like, you really need to be on the cover. I'm okay. Okay. So they needed a portrait. And the guy who designed the cover, did the whole design of the book, is a guy named P.R. Brown. He's a well-known graphic designer and videographer. He's done books for Marilyn Manson, Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue. He's done Corey Taylor's books. He's a really, really cool dude, really cool graphic designer. So I gave him the image of the prison. He said, I need a self-portrait of you, some sort. Originally he wanted me to do it like a selfie with an iPhone, and I'm like, that hurts my feelings as a photographer to do that. So I said, well, let me set up a self-portrait. The problem being is that anytime, and I've done some self-portraits, which I think are very different than a selfie, because it's not like, hey, party, I'm at the bar in Brooklyn with a, you know, and the duck lips and all that bullshit. You know, that's just hubris, that's just ego. Self-portrait can be artful. However, I knew, I mean, the cover is about a book about me going to prison. It's not, I'm not going to be like, you know, on the cover. So I need to look serious. But how am I, you know, I set my camera up, I'm like, I can't just look serious because that'll be fake, you know? So what I did is I set up the camera on the tripod and I had a remote and I put on some really whacked out, far right wing, almost like bordering on neo-Nazi-esque radio, you know, of just these idiots. You know, they're so fucking stupid. These people are going to destroy the planet. They're going to be the end of the human race. And listen to them talk. And I just started hitting this button, right? And I'm not thinking about taking the picture. At first I am. If you look at I took like 300 pictures. If you look at the first few pictures, I'm self-conscious. You know, for some reason when I know I'm taking a picture of myself, my face changes. It's like, you know, I become self-conscious. But as I listen to this, and I just hit the button like this, as I listened to this disturbing radio, I just started getting more and more pissed off, and I forgot about this. And it was like, almost like, you know, like a Tourette's type twitch by the end. I was fucking pissed, like, you know? I was just disturbed by what I was hearing. And so, you know, at the end of that, I looked through all the photos, and the photo on the cover of the book is one of the last ones I took, and I was not thinking about the camera at all, so it's a natural photo. And as it's a serious book, I mean, there's some funny stuff in it, but it's a serious book. I need a serious photo. And I was thinking in my mind, like, these people are crazy. This is nuts, you know? So it's a real photo of me being disturbed.
What I consider, at least myself, to be real art is being able to channel your innermost feelings and sort of block out the bullshit of the rest of the world and just sort of channel your thoughts and feelings. And you doing that, to me, that's real art, and that's
right.
Amazing. And
Well, I sent, you know, the designer the photo, and I explained to him how I had done it, and he's like, you can tell I mean, he looks at a bazillion photos. He's like, you can tell it's unself-conscious, it's a real photo. And then he told me this story. He's like, hey, do you know how Lou Reed did the cover of his album? I think it's Ecstasy, was the name of it? And I'm like, no. It's like the photographer set him in a room with a camera, and it had strobes, I believe, popping off every minute or so, taking a film, and gave him some lotion or whatever, and set him in a dark room by himself. So you see the cover of this Lou Reed record, he's like, oh. And they picked the one as he's bringing himself to a point of ecstasy. So my experience was much different. That wasn't what was going on, but it's same concept, you know, getting outside of yourself. Because that's why when I shoot photos of people, my friends particularly, I don't like to shoot photos of my friends when they know I'm shooting. Like if we go out and I'm shooting and we're walking along, at first, the first few photos I take of them, because they're paying attention to me shooting, are usually no good. But once we're just cruising along chilling, and they're not, you know, they're like, okay, Randy's just fucking doing his thing, and they're not thinking about me taking pictures, that's when I get real human moments. Because the camera, you turn the camera on, it's like, you know, or some people who can smile for the camera, they smile beautifully, but you know, I mean, those people work in commercials, you know, and that's not real either. I like when I see someone laugh, I take a picture of that. You can see, you can tell when it's real. There it is, you know. Or when you see someone's mad, you know, they aren't thinking about the camera, and it's beautiful to me. Yo, what's up? It's Randy from Lamb of God. You're watching Artisan News.
So you are sort of the jack of all trades. Like you've got the music, you've got the photography, you've got surfing, you've composed a ballet piece, you're writing your book. What of these sort of passions do you feel is the most challenging for you? And what do you think is the most cathartic or gives you the most release?
What is the most challenging for me is beyond a shadow of a doubt writing a book. It makes everything else look like kindergarten. Like, you know, I learned a lot doing this photography exhibit, you know, but it was mostly technical stuff like printing. I'd never printed pictures before this. I agreed to do this exhibit a year ago. I had no clue of what I was getting myself into. But now I understand, and yes, I work to get these shots, right? But once I take a picture, even if it takes me all day long to take one picture, then I got it. It doesn't take me a year to take one picture. Writing an album can take a few months, or writing a song, you know, writing lyrics. That's stuff I've been doing for well over 20 years now, so that's like second nature. Composing music for the ballet, like that was different, it was harder, but like it flowed, you know, the music flowed out of me because I already speak that artistic language. Surfing, depending on the waves that can be pretty rough, but I'm okay, you know, I'm no Kelly Slater, I'm a cruiser. But the hardest thing to do I've ever done creatively is write a book, man. And it's just, also this book it's not about pleasant things. You know, there's some really funny stuff in there because some really weird, bizarre shit happened in prison. And it's funny, you know. But for the most part, the book is real serious. And I kind of have a black sense of humor, dark humor, you know. So I find that stuff funny. But for the most part, it's real. I wrote about the worst stuff that's ever happened to me in my life, you know. Not just going to prison, but other stuff. And sitting down every day and writing about really crappy stuff that happened to you it's hard. And I wrote, you know, my book contract was 80 to 100,000 words, and I turned in 240,000 something words. We whittled it down to 170 something, so it's still almost 500 pages long.
It's impossible to tell your story in like a word limit. It's like you just have to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff that needed to be cut from the book, like, and I knew while I was writing it, some of it, like, it was gonna have to go, but once I was writing it, I couldn't stop. You know, it's like, okay, I've started this story, it's going really well, and that stuff is all saved, and I'll use that for, you know, some funny stories, you know.
You mentioned.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out, you know, during this whole process, I mean, now that we're sitting here in May of 2015, does the whole thing seem sort of surreal to you now, looking back?
What, the whole Prague thing?
Yes.
No, I sat in it long enough. It's very real, you know. Not cool. Not cool, a very sad situation, so it was very real.
And another thing I want to ask, if we'll sort of move off of that topic.
Because I'm going to come back and do book press,
Yeah.
you know, in July.
And what I would like to ask is, as far as, you know, the government, you know, 'cause when this first happened, I'm like, oh, the government's going to step in and we're going to get this all situated and resolved. And it just seemed like they never did. Did you ever think about that? I mean, disappointed that your government didn't sort of have your back?
That's stuff, you know, I'll discuss when I do book press. Let's just say that the government has never given me any satisfactory answer whatsoever as to why I didn't know anything happened for 2 years. You know, I don't expect them, once I'm arrested, to send in SEAL Team 6, but they could have let me know. They knew, but they didn't let me know.
You did a track with that sort of mega group.
Yeah, Teenage Time Killers.
Killers.
Because there's multiple of us.
Yeah. Multiple killers. Who's
Yeah.
the killer? How did you get involved with that, and how did this whole thing sort of come about? Because that's a lot of cool people.
That's a lot of cool people, and I was honored to be asked to do it. Basically, you know, I'm a huge COC fan since high school. Their record Animosity was a big influence on me. I come from the punk rock scene, you know, that's what I grew up in. And being a Virginia and North Carolina boy, I lived in both places. Corrosion of Conformity, it's like, oh, these dudes are from the South, they're local, and they're making really vicious, like, hardcore. And both Reed and Mike Dean, who sang on that album, were big influences on me. So, since high school. So, fast forward 80 years until here I am now, 143. Someone, a multiple acquaintance, said, hey, Reed Mullen from COC wants to know if you'll do a guest spot on the new COC record. And I'm like, yeah, you know, but I think their studio got flooded or something happened and it didn't work out. Somehow it didn't work out. So I was kind of bummed. And then all of a sudden Reed, we had already started talking, me and Reed had, and then Reed's like, look, I'm gonna do this crazy project and we're gonna record it at Dave Grohl's place, and I'm gonna get you and about, you know, 100 other dudes from the punk and metal scene to like I'm gonna get this dude, I'm gonna get this dude, and like he starts telling me he's gonna get dudes from Fear and Minor Threat and, you know, the Germs and like all these bands I grew up listening to. He's like, do you want to be a part of this? And I'm very, yes I do, yes. So you know, I knew he was going to do some cover songs. Like the name of the group comes from a song by a band called Rudimentary Peni. They're an older punk band. The song is Teenage Time Killer. So I knew he was going to do some cover songs, and then he said, well, do you want to write, you know, I have an original. He sent me that, and I wrote the lyrics and blasted it out when I went down and visited him in North Carolina. You know, he had already had the tracks, like Grohl had played bass on it, I think. Reed Mullen from COC played drums, I think. Mick from My Room played guitar, someone else played guitar. And there's like so many people on that record, it's hard to keep track of, you know? But a lot of them are just, you know, some of them are good friends, some are people I've never met, some of them are, you know, just people I've had their records since I was 14. It's like, it's pretty awesome, you know? And hopefully one day maybe I'll get to sing that song with them, you know? I don't know where or when.
And you mentioned all the punk rockers that are on the album.
Yeah.
You know, Reed and, you know, Jel Biafra, Pat Smear and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Lee Bing.
Yeah, Lee Bing. Like, I feel like people, especially in my generation, don't realize that modern metal is more influenced by punk than they actually might perceive initially.
They don't have any idea then.
Yeah. How do you see the connection between punk and modern metal?
Well, here's what you have to understand, okay? And this is, the evidence is in the visual record, okay? As with all things in heavy metal, to understand the story, look at the t-shirt, okay? to understand how I make my living, look at the t-shirt. Look at how many Lamb of God t-shirts say, because that's how I make my living. I'm a glorified t-shirt salesman. That's how I run around and scream and I sell t-shirts. That's how I pay my bills. In order to understand where modern metal comes from, consider the humble black t-shirt. Look at old photographs of Metallica. Look at old photographs of Slayer. What t-shirts are they wearing? Corrosion of Conformity, The Misfits, Sam Hain. You know, look at all, you know, Suicidal Tendencies. Look at all the t-shirts that the old school metal guys are wearing when metal got good, when it wasn't like the, oh, like Poison, like cock rock shit, when metal got thrash and stuff. Then, you know, you're gonna see a lot of punk rock. And it was interesting, man. We were, the first tour bus Lamb of God ever had, we were sharing with, and I was trying to explain this to some of the dudes in my band who are kind of clueless, at least they were at that point, about some of this, and they're like, punk rock, fuck you know, because I'm always yelling, I'm the punk rock asshole, right? I'm like, punk rock, punk rock, punk rock, and they're like, shut up about punk rock, Randy, we've heard enough, you know, yes, we know you're punk rock, and I'm always like, punk rock. And, you know, we're sharing a tour bus with The Haunted, which had 2 members of At the Gates in it, which some of my dudes revere At the Gates. I've never listened to At the Gates to this day, not once. Not once, maybe like one song, and it was like, in passing, like, oh, that was At the Gates, you know? But I'm sitting up there with the 2 twins, and we're talking about music, and I start talking about a band called Discharge, who, if you don't know who fucking Discharge is, then that is what, you know, the speed and technicality of a lot of this stuff comes from bands like Discharge. And the At the Gates guys, the twins, were like, we fucking love Discharge, you know, that's where we got this. And I remember some of my guys who used to argue with me were just sitting there like, and I'm like, I fucking told you. The Euros, they're saying it themselves. The dudes that you like rock their metal record, they're telling you it comes from punk rock, dude. So like the way metal is now, and this is not something to be disputed, this is just a fucking fact. The technicality and the precision and the songwriting like prowess of metal comes from metal. It comes from the old school like instrumentation of metal, because the dudes who can play metal guitar and metal drums are the best, you know what I mean? Except for like outside of jazz, you know, and a lot of metal guys look up to the jazz players, you know? The technical prowess, the nerdery to sit in your garage and practice for 3 hours, that's metal. The aggression and the speed comes from punk rock. It's a combination. That's where thrash metal was born. You know, it wasn't like, we're metal, we're gonna play fast metal. It's like, no, the two met, you know? It's a interbreeding. And now you're at a point where like, you know, the term hardcore meant something very different when I was a kid. And there's still like true to the roots hardcore bands, but they're now at a point where it's like, it's hard for me to tell the difference between metal and hardcore, and hence the term metalcore, I guess, which is kind of whack, I think. I never liked that term. But the two are intermeshed and feeding, and the punk rock bands have gotten really good, and the metal bands have released some of their like stifling nerdery and have learned to cut loose some, you know. I think it's a beautiful relationship, you know. But that's, I mean, that's the root of it, you know. Until the Ramones went like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, like right, not far from here, nobody was playing that fucking fast, dude. Nobody. The speed of that was incredible. None of the metal guys were playing that fast. So, you know, they go see the Ramones, and then you got bands like, they come out like the Bad Brains who take it to the next level, or just so fast. It's all of that stuff. You know, there was no speed metal then. In 1977, there was no speed metal, but there was the Ramones. You know?
If you could play with on one punk track, what would it be?
On one punk band's track?
Yep.
Like cover? Like,
if you could play with them on that track, what would it be?
like, are they at the peak of their powers?
Wherever you want to take it.
Well, I mean, ideally, well, okay, I'd wanna do this because I've never been able to sing this song. And they don't do it like this, but there's a song called Pay to Come by the Bad Brains. It's like 2 minutes, and the lyrics are so fast, and I've read them, and I've tried to sing it along with it, and I cannot do it right. I've been trying for like 30 years now, and I can't get it right. So if I could do that, I'd be happy, but I'd have to be, we're talking pure fantasy land. Because I don't think well, those guys can play it still. HR doesn't sing that fast anymore, that's for sure. But I would have to be able to sing that fast. Maybe I'd take some lessons.
Your band Lamb of God, you know.
Who?
I don't know. Is there anything in the works with them right now? Is there any plans for new music?
Well, working on stuff. Maybe.
You guys are going on tour soon, though?
Yes. We go to Europe for all of June for the big European festivals, and that'll be fun. And I'll see a lot of my American friends that I only ever see overseas. And then we go in August, we go out with Slipknot. I think it starts at the end of July and runs all through August into September. We're main support for Slipknot, and that's going to be a good time. We haven't done a full run with them since 2007 maybe or something. I don't know, it's been a while. We've done some festivals, but they're friends, you know, so it'll be good to be out with them.
What was your best memory from the last time that you were out with them?
The best memory of the last time I was out with Slipknot? I mean, hanging with Paul a lot. We hung out a lot, you know, hanging with Paul a lot. I miss that dude, you know. And we'd talk about punk rock, talk a lot about punk rock, you know. In 2004 is when I really started hanging with that dude on Ozfest, and it was awesome because, like, we'd steal golf carts like they have at the venues, you know, for staff. And if you have like a multi-tool, or you can steal a key, then if you have a multi-tool, you can just pop the ignition, you know. So we used to just take them and go rampaging. And Paul, like, was always so paranoid. He's like, Sharon's gonna see us, we're gonna get busted and be in trouble. And I'm like, do they even know what you look like? You always have the mask on, you know, nobody's gonna recognize you. They're not gonna be like, there goes a guy from Slipknot. Because nobody except for the people on the tour know. It's not like security is going to be like, you know, it's not like you're wearing your mask. It's not like Clown is in the golf cart with us. I always thought it was funny. He was so paranoid about getting in trouble, you know. But that was always a lot of fun with him. We used to steal a lot of golf carts together.
Now I hate to bring this up because this is my next question. This is probably going to be a rough one, but if you don't want to answer, it's all right. But you were lucky enough to have a pretty close friendship with one of my heroes, David Brockie.
Yeah.
What was your friendship like with him, and how do you choose to remember him?
Well, you know, Dave was a really important part of my life and of the life of my band and of the life of the Richmond music scene in particular. And GWAR took us out on our first tour, you know, as Lamb of God. Nobody knew who we were then, except for some people in our regional scene who we were called Burn the Priest. GWAR gave us a chance because we were hometown guys, you know, they're from Richmond. And I learned how to tour from those dudes. And Dave would always, you know, when we did something or released something new, he would always tell me he was proud of me, you know. It was awesome to have him, you know. And you know, Dave was also could be a real asshole too. So he would like say some fucked up shit to piss you off every now and then, and you'd be like, God damn it, Dave. But like, when Dave would say these things, Dave would say shit that like I wouldn't let my mother say to me. You know what I mean? I'd be like, what? What, Mom? What? You know? But Dave would say it and you'd be all mad and you'd be like, fuck, okay, it's Dave. You know? And so you'd have to let it go. And then if he was an odorous persona, it was really bad. Like I remember one time GWAR was in Richmond and we were out, and some people who didn't know the nature of our relationship, or I guess just didn't understand GWAR, were like, yo, GWAR just played and Dave was talking so much shit on you on stage, and the odorous guy, he was like saying just bad things. I'm like, of course he was. He's doing GWAR, of course he was. If he was saying good things about me, then we get worried. It's what GWAR does. Have you ever seen a show? You know, they're horrible. You know, they're an atrocity. That's the whole thing of it. So, you know, I miss the man greatly, and you know, he had a really strong work ethic. He's always doing art, and when I'd stop by the slave pit, because sometimes he'd call me and he'd be like, come by, you know, let's, like, you know, you go to the slave pit, and I'd come by and I'd see him, and or if I was just driving by, I'd pop in to see him. He was always doing something like writing a new GWAR like idea or painting. He's always working on his art, always. So for this exhibit, like there's a piece I shot over there. It's called GWAR Will Never Die, and I shot it at the GWARbecue, which is the first appearance GWAR played without Dave since he had died. I shot it side stage. I was standing beside Jello Biafra, and you know, it's a picture of the audience. It was during the last song, and the blood was flying, and this could only happen at a GWAR show. People are getting covered in blood, and everybody's crying because they're sad, you know, because they miss Dave. And I was crying too, and I was looking, I got this shot, and then when it came time to do this, the gallery owner was like, you know, do you want to do something for charity? I'm like, of course, you know. So that photo, we had it framed, I printed it, had it framed. It's an edition of 2. That means only 2 will ever be made. One will go to the slave pit, you know. I got to get that printed and framed for them, that present to them. The other one is here at the gallery for auction, and the gallery owner and I are donating 100% of the sale, not taking anything, either of us. 100% of the sale goes to Art 180, which is a nonprofit in Richmond, Virginia, where me and Dave are from, and it supports art programs for young adults and children ages 8 to 18 who don't have access to these things from, like, you know, economically depressed homes and stuff, because it costs money to make art. Like all the stuff in here, this is all expensive stuff, you know, printing and frame making and glass and all this stuff. Making a painting costs money, you know, and you know, drawing is free and stuff. But like, if some kid wants to, you know, be a painter or try his hand at photography or whatever, Art 180 has a space, and they have programs that they provide materials, you know. So public funding to the arts in schools gets chopped all the time. So, you know, my wife did some research. I wanted to help support the arts, and she found this place, so they do good work. So in Dave's honor, you know, we're auctioning that and giving him money. That's, you know, that's how I want to remember him, and I know he would be pleased by that, because he was a big supporter of the arts. And I talked to some of the GWAR guys. I let them know that's what I was doing with it, and they were like, that's awesome. So happy to do that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I just want to find out, you know, what would you consider success with your photography career, or the gallery specifically?
Artistically, a success I would consider is that the stuff looks fucking awesome printed out, because I'd never like ever printed any stuff before, right? And I was nervous. I was like, what if it looks like shit? This is going to be a bad gallery opening, you know? So artistically, you know, I'm not a jackass. I'm not going to say I'm the greatest photographer in the world, because I'm not, and I see people's stuff that like blows my mind. But fairly objectively, I think, can look around and say that this stuff looks really good to me. You know, it does. And it just does. It's just awesome. So it's kind of shocking. I'm like, ah. Artistically, that's a success. Artistically, it's a success because the gallery opening was packed and people had a good time. And for the gallery, it's bringing some attention. This is a really cool gallery run by Kevin, the gallery owner, is amazing, amazing. Went out of his way to help me out. Financially, I would consider it a success if I broke even, because I spent a lot of money getting this done, and I have done that, plus some. So, you know, financially, I will consider it, and it's going to make the gallery a little bit of money, you know. So that's a success. It's important. People don't understand. We're in Manhattan. Rent ain't cheap here, you know. And this is a big space that could be used for something else besides hanging my shitty pictures. So we're making the gallery some money. We're making me a little change. And financially, finally, I will consider it a really big success if we get, you know, a decent amount of money for the Brockie